Good day everyone. We are from Group 2 and our topic for today is the political self, which is the developing Filipino identity. By the way, my name is Quadi Vincer Bilbao, BS Cream 1B. First, who is a Filipino? According to the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Filipino citizens are those whose father or mother are citizens of the Philippines, those born before January 17, 1973 of Filipino. Mother who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority and those who are naturalized in accordance with law. The individual's race, ethnicity, and physical characteristics are not the only factor that make a person's national identity. The importance of values and traits are set apart one nationality from the others. These values and traits may not always be a positive thing, but being able to identify oneself apart from other nationalities and point out wellness and mistakes. We have here the Filipino values and traits. What do Filipinos value? The term kapwa or a shared inner self lies at the core of Filipino values and psychology. A person who treats another a kapwa has a shared sense of identity and consciousness what that other person. Both in the individual and community level, strong emphasis is placed on social acceptance and maintaining social harmony. As such, social approval and caring about what other well things say or do strongly influence social behavior. First, we have utang na loob. It is a technique of reciprocity of deep of gratitude to others within the family circle or primary group, sometimes unlimited in nature, emotional rather than financial or rational. It is a sign of marginal economy where no place is available in bargaining, formal agreements, written contracts, specific right, and responsibility. For example, your mother raised you and provide everything that you need. You cannot pay your mother but you have deep of gratitude to her. Second, pakikisama. Pakikisama is a typical trait of a Filipino in its simple sense, meaning getting along with others. Pakikisama entails a genuine intrinsic appreciation of togetherness, group harmony, and unity is valued. People want to get along rather than stand out. If progress is achieved, it is for the entire group and no one should be left behind. Pakikisama is closely to utang na loob. It is the value of the belongingness and loyalty to the group with sensitivity to the feelings of others out the principle of give and take. Next is the hiya.
So hi, my name is Rizal Villanueva and it's my turn to report. Here controls a large extent the behavior of the individual. There are many uses and example of via in English. We called it shame. So it is a noun that defines a painful feeling of having done something wrong. Example, we use it here in a word pagkapahiya. Another uses is despicable. It is adjective that defines contemptible or shameful. For example, kalait-lait o kahiya-hiya. The next uses is shameless. It is also an adjective that defines without shame. For example, walang hiya, tabla, o makapalang muka. Lastly is tago, which is a verb that defines to keep, to hide, or to put away. For example, nagtago si Maria sa hiya. Bayanihan. So, it is a spirit of unity and cooperation among Filipinos. It is a Filipino word derived from the word bayan, meaning town, nation, or community in general. Each Filipino should have bayanihan to each other. They need to help each other even you don't know them. So the bayanihan is one of the tradition here in the Philippines. The essence of bayanihan is very much felt in the country. One of the example is in sports. Bayanihan is showcase the players of the team to give their best shots and strive hard in order for them to win. So, ang ginatawag nga bayanihan sa sports is not by carrying a kubo, but by cooperation, it became united in setting a goal with a spirit of bayanihan. Bahala na. Common expression among Filipinos. And this rest of fatalistic outlook and strong dependence on the spirits who will take care of everything if they really meant for a reason. So, ang bahala na ginayusta ni to express or expression in any uncertain or difficult situation. For example, wag mo na kaming asikasuhin. Bahala na kami sa sarili namin. Authoritarianism. It is defendants of the Filipinos in a paternalistic rather than in stern way upon the elders of the Filipino in authority as their father figure. So let's just make it simple. As younger, we must give the authority to our elders nga mag-follow sa ila. Kay, di ba, syempre, kitaya, natuunan ta sa bata. Then, need tagid ang guidance ng aton nga mga parents.
Individualism. Values are often presented as promoting economic development. However, their connection to relevant behavior and preferences at the group level remain underexplored. Here we look over the relationship between individualism values and personal attitudes. Harana. Harana was a traditional form of courtship in her at Philippines, wherein men introduced themselves to their courting woman by singing. They are singing underneath her window at night. The men are wearing proper clothes and they have guitar. And when the woman open her window to see who are singing at their window. Pagmamano. Here in the Philippines, as in other Southeast Asian countries, paying respect to older people is a tradition passed from generation to generation. Silawikain. Silawikain, in other term, is proverb. Proverb is a simple and insightful traditional saying that express a perceived truth based on common sense or experience. Proverbs are often metaphorical and use formulaic language. Collectively, they form a genre of folklore.
Superstitious. Being a superstitious describe a belief in chance or magic. If you are a superstitious person, you may avoid walking under ladders, spilling salt, or passing black cats, all because you think they will bring you bad luck. One of the most famous superstitions here in the Philippines is saying, tao po, which we all think that we are referring to ourselves when knocking to a person's house. But in reality, tao po means confirming that you are a human being to the person who owns the house, and not a harmful or a mythical creature. For those mythical creatures can say tao po. They can't describe themselves as a human being, and that is the confirmation the household needs. Myth. Myth is a symbolic narrative usually of unknown origin and at least partly traditional. Here in the Philippines, there are mythical creatures called duende. Duende are also known by the name elf, dwarf, and goblin. They are a powerful creatures who can cast spells in a person who ever upsets them. And another mythical creature is kapre, tikbalang, and manananggal. Tikbalang is a half human, half horse who can run very, very fast, and when you get its golden hair, you can command it. Kapre. Kapre is a Bigfoot here in the Philippines. It likes smoking cigars and catching pretty ladies. And the most known one is Manananggal. It's a half-bodied legend. The definition of a legend is a story handed down through generations which is believed to be historical. And one of the most historical legends here in the Philippines is the legend of Bernardo Carpio in Montalban. He is a brave man with superhuman strength, and with his powers, he fought the Spaniards in his time. But he is defeated by one of our mythical creatures called Encanto. The priest asked help to the Encanto to capture Bernardo Carpio in the middle of two bumping stones. And every time Bernardo Carpio tried to escape, Montalban feels his anger. Hero. The dictionary defines hero as a person of distinguished courage or ability, admired for his or her brave deeds and noble qualities. They say hero comes in many forms in life, ranging from one's family and friends to athletes to movie stars. Here in the Philippines, we have famous heroes, and they are Jose Rizal, Andres Bonifacio, and Antonio Luna. Rizal became a hero for writing the truth about Spaniards, while Andres Bonifacio became a hero for fighting them, and Antonio Luna became a hero for being the best general in his time in fighting the Americans. And they became a hero in one reason, for their bravery and love for our nation. Here in the Philippines, we also have famous landmarks of our Filipino heroes and other historical events in our country. Here in the Philippines, we also have famous landmarks of our Filipino heroes and other historical events in our country. The Rizal Monument in Luneta Park also known as Bagong Bayan in Rizal's time, Bonifacio Monument, Lapu-Lapu Shrine in Mactan, Magellan Shrine, Leyte Landing Monument, Sandugo or Blood Compact Shrine, Dambana ng Kagitingan, Sultan Kudarat Monument, Pinaglabanan Shrine, Balangiga Encounter Monument. And all of these landmarks serve as a reminder for us Filipinos for the bravery of our fellow men and our ancestors.
The Bonifacio Monument. On November 30, as we celebrate the sesquicentennial of Andres Bonifacio's birth, we also commemorate the 80th anniversary of the unveiling of one of the most country's most enduring landmarks, one of the nation's most impressive works of art, a fitting tribute to the man known as the father of the Philippine Revolution. The Lapu-Lapu Shrine is a majestic 20-meter with 66 bronze statue depicting a warrior Lapu-Lapu holding a broadsword and a wooden shield. Lapu-Lapu is the ruler of Mactan Island who stood up against the Spanish colonizers who are demanding taxes and submission to their government. When Ferdinand Magellan and his crew attacked Mactan Island with guns and rifles, Lapu-Lapu and his men didn't intimidated even their weapons are primitive. They fought back with honor and defeated them. His courageous stand for the country earned him the title of being the first national hero of the Philippines. Mactan Shrine in Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu, was established in 1969 as National Shrine through Republic Act No. 5695 during administration of President Ferdinand Marcos. The site is believed to be the approximate location of historic Battle of Mactan, which saw the defeat of the Spaniards led by the explorer Ferdinand Magellan against Lapu-Lapu and his forces. The legislation included the Magellan Monument, a structure which was erected in the Spanish colonial era in 1866. Republic Act 5695 also mandate for a monument for Lapu-Lapu, who is regarded as a hero for his role in historic battle in 1521. As the erection of a Liberty House, a facility which would exhibit memorabilia showcasing Philippines' historic prior to the arrival of Spanish in Philippines. Leyte Landing Monument. On October 20, 1944, General Douglas MacArthur made his promise to return the Philippines to help the country fight against the Japanese colonizers. This was word of praise a shall return came from. Fight against the Japanese forces that had overtaken the country. General MacArthur convinced President Roosevelt and Pacific commanders Chester Nimitz to send forces to the Philippines. With a company of President Sergio Osmeña, General Carlos P. Romulo, General Sutherland, U.S. 5th Air Force, U.S. 7th Fleet under the Vice Admiral Thomas C. Kincaid, and some members of the government. General MacArthur arrived at Reed Beach with 225,000 troops and 600 ships. Sandugo or the Blood Compact Shrine. The Sandugo was a blood compact performed in the island of Bohol in the Philippines between the Spanish explorer Miguel Lopez de Legazpi and Dato Sicutana, the chieftain of Bohol, in March 16, 1565. To seal their friendship as part of the tribal tradition, this is considered as the first treaty of friendship between the Spaniards and Filipinos. Sandugo is a Visayan word which means one blood. The Sandugo is depicted in the both provincial flag and the official seal of the government in Bohol. It also features the image of blood compact. The top of the seal explains the story behind the Sandugo event that occurred in Bohol, the fleet in the location where the Spaniards anchored, and the place where the treaty was conducted, which was dated on March 16, 1565.
Dambana ng Kagitingan. Dambana ng Kagitingan are the shrine of valor, was erected atop Mount Samat to memorialize the gallantry and epitomize the heroic stand of the Filipino and American forces who fight from January to April 1942 at the Bataan Peninsula. This shrine was established in the memory and recognition of the brave Filipino and American soldiers who died during the World War II. The Memorial Shrine Complex was also made to give honor and tribute to the heroic struggles and sacrifices of revolutionists who died in that historic stronghold of freedom. The soldiers died fighting and protecting the country against Japanese invasion. They sacrificed their lives so that the next generation would have a country to call their own. It was commissioned in 1966 by then President Ferdinand Marcos as part of the 25th anniversary of the Second World War. The complex also contained a war museum, which contains artifacts, war weapons, and other equipment that was used during the battle. Suffering heavy losses against the Japanese all over Luzon, Filipino and American soldiers retreated to Bataan to regroup for the last valiant stand. The scene of their final stronghold is Mount Samat. The 73,665-hectare park itself is the part of the bloody battlefield where the Philippines' most intense fight against the Japanese imperial forces took place. Almost half of the combined Filipino and American forces lost their lives in the battle. Upon surrender, 12,000 American and 64,000 Filipino prisoners of war fell into Japanese hands. However, despite these harrowing episodes in history, the unwavering and enduring spirit of thousands of Filipino and American World War II soldiers shone brighter. Even after the fall of Bataan, their gallantry kept the resistance movement alive, which eventually saw the freedom of the Philippines from the Japanese occupation. The Sultan Kudarat Monument. It was created by Jose M. Mendoza in 1973. Muhammad Dipatuan Kudarat was the Sultan of Mindanao during the first half of the 17th century. He united the Muslim of Lanao, Cotabato, Sulu, Davao, Zamboanga, and North Borneo and resisted the Spanish invasion of his domain. He was a fearless fighter and a Filipino hero in defense of Islamic faith and Philippine liberty. Before he ascended as Sultan of Maguindanao, Kudarat had already clashed with the Spaniard forces many times. At the time, he already had a concept of statecraft. He knew how foreign colonizers who already captured key territories in the Visayas and Luzon were a threat to the Sultanates of Mindanao. Together with the Sultanate of Sulu, Sultan Kudarat launched coordinated attacks on Spain's seat of power in the Visayas. In 1634, they successfully launched invasion on Leyte, Bohol, and Dapitan, which were crucial positions held by the Spaniards. His bloodiest battle and biggest defeat against the Spaniard forces occurred in 1637, when a combined forces of Spaniards and Indios from Luzon and the Visayas attacked Lamitan. He heavily fortified Saytaydal on Basilan Island. The attack was meant to strike at the heart of Sultanate, descending on Saytaydal on a holy guest to evangelize not only with sword but also with a gunpowder. Sultan Kudarat managed to muster a force of 2,000 highly skilled Muslim warriors who were spiritually and physically prepared to undergo jurimantado state. A jurimantado refers to a male Muslim swordsman. He accounted for stories for Muslim warriors who refused to die despite being shot and keep charging forward arm, not only with their blades. Kudarat died around 1650. Pinaglabanan Memorial Shrine. A testament to the bravery and heroism of Andres Bonifacio, whose 157th birth anniversary is being celebrated in November 30. Bonifacio was the founder of kataas-taasang kagalang-galangang katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan, or the katipunan that investigated the Philippine Revolution of 1896. The Pinaglabanan Memorial Shrine is very vital and important in the country's history because of the unique story it offers. The Battle of Pinaglabanan marked the start of revolution since Andres Bonifacio and his fellow Katipuneros agreed to attack the two government installations in San Juan del Monte. It also signified the start of the revolution elsewhere in the Philippines. Though Bonifacio and Katipunan were defeated in the battle, it served as the catalyst and signal to start the revolution. The primary goal of the attack on El Deposito was to cut off the water supply of the walled city of Intramuros, where majority of Spanish officials resided. In the memory of the battle, the 5-hectare Pinaglabanan Memorial Shrine was built on top of the Spanish-era water reservoir in 1973. As a testament to the heroism and the bravery of the Katipuneros during the Battle of San Juan del Monte. Balanginga Encounter Monument, a historical monument that reflects the bravery of Filipinos and deserves a visit from travelers who wish to know more about the Philippines. The people of Balanginga, Eastern Samar, commemorate the 107th anniversary of the Balanginga Encounter of September 28, 1901, in the clamor of its unreturned bells, resounding in almost muted silence. The Balanginga Massacre was an incident in 1901 in the town of the same name during the Philippine-American War. It initially referred to the killing of about 48 members of the U.S. Ninth Infantry by the townspeople in the town of Balanginga on Samar Island during the attack of September 28 of that year. In the 1960s, Filipino nationalists applied it to the retaliatory measure taken on the island. This incident was described as the United States Army's worst defeat since the Battle of the Little Bighorn in 1876. Filipinos regard the attack as one of their biggest acts in that war. The attack and the subsequent retaliation remains one of the longest-running and the most controversial issues between the Philippines and the United States. Conflicting records from the American and the Filipino historian have confused the issue. Demands to the return of the bells, one of the Church of Balanginga, taken by the Americans as war booty and elected known as the Balanginga Bells, remain an outstanding issue of contention related to the war. The Balanginga incident in 1901 was unique in that involved a rare Filipino victory during the Philippine-American War. The ringing of the church bell during the attacks and the taking of these bells as the documented war booty from that war. A large number of the Filipino civilians were also killed in that punitive expedition. Some of the action by the American officers during the counterattack were so severe that the U.S. Army began a court-martial against the officer for their cruelty. For this reason, some historians think that it was the counterattack which was the real Balanginga Massacre.